Have you ever found yourself putting everyone else's needs before your own? Maybe it was for your children, your grandchildren, or even your friends. For years, life has been about taking care of others, being responsible, and making sure everything runs smoothly. But now, at this stage of life, something shifts. You start to wonder, what about me? What about my happiness? If that thought has ever crossed your mind, let me tell you, you're not alone. Many people over 70 feel like they've spent their whole lives worrying about others and have forgotten to take care of themselves. And you know what? That has to change. After 70, your happiness matters more than ever. Think about it. You've spent decades working hard, making sacrifices, and doing what needed to be done. Now, this chapter of your life should be about enjoying the moments, doing what makes you feel good, and finally putting yourself first. Not in a selfish way, but in a way that allows you to truly live. So today, we're going to talk about 5 powerful ways to prioritize yourself, to make sure that the years ahead are filled with joy, peace, and fulfillment. And let me tell you, it's not about making drastic changes. It's about small, meaningful shifts that can make all the difference. Let's start with something simple, but often overlooked. Learning to say no. Now, if you're someone who has always been the yes person, always helping out, always agreeing to things just to keep the peace, this might feel difficult. But here's the truth. Every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're saying no to something that could bring you joy. Think about it. Have you ever said yes to an event, a favor or a commitment, and then regretted it immediately? Maybe you felt drained afterward, maybe you resented it, or maybe you just wished you had used that time differently. The good news is you don't have to keep doing that. It's okay to say no. Saying no doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to protect your time and energy. And here's the best part. People will understand. They may not always like it at first, but they will understand. And more importantly, you will feel lighter, freer, and more in control of your own life. Now, once you start saying no to the things that don't bring you joy, it's time to say yes to the things that do. What's something that excites you? Something you've always wanted to do, but never got around to? Maybe it's painting, dancing, traveling, gardening, or even just sitting in a quiet spot with a good book and a cup of coffee completely undisturbed. Whatever it is, it's time to embrace it. There is no rule that says you have to stop enjoying life after a certain age. In fact, now is the best time to do the things that make you happy, because you finally can. I know some people might say, "Oh, but I'm too old to start something new." But let me ask you this. If not now, when? There's no such thing as too old. The only thing stopping you is the belief that you can't. And that belief? It's not true. So take that art class, plan that trip, start that hobby, or simply spend time doing what makes your heart feel full. This is your time, and you deserve to enjoy it. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked: setting boundaries. We all love our families, our friends, and the people in our lives. But sometimes, without realizing it, they take up so much of our space that we forget to leave room for ourselves. Have you ever had a moment where you just wanted to sit and relax, but the phone kept ringing? Or maybe someone showed up at your door unannounced, expecting you to drop everything for them? It's not that you don't love them. It's just that you also need time for yourself. And that's where boundaries come in. It's okay to tell people when you need space. It's okay to let them know that certain times are for you. It's okay to say, I love you, but I need this time for myself. Because when you set boundaries, you're not pushing people away. You're making sure you have the energy to truly be present when you are with them. And you know what happens when you start setting boundaries? You start feeling lighter. You start feeling more in control of your own time. And most importantly, you start feeling happier. Now we've covered a lot already. Learning to say no, saying yes to what makes you happy, and setting boundaries. But there's still more to explore, more ways to put yourself first, and more ways to truly embrace the happiness you deserve. Now that you've started saying no to what drains you, saying yes to what excites you, and setting boundaries to protect your time, something incredible begins to happen. You start to feel lighter, freer, almost as if a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying has been lifted. But there's still more to unlocking a life where your happiness comes first. Let's talk about one of the most powerful but often forgotten ways to put yourself first: letting go of guilt. If you've spent most of your life taking care of others, you might feel a little guilty when you finally start focusing on yourself. You might think, but what if they need me? What if they think I don't care? And maybe for a long time, you believed that your role in life was to always be there for everyone else. But here's the truth. Taking care of yourself doesn't mean you're abandoning others. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It simply means you're finally allowing yourself to enjoy the life you've worked so hard for. Think about it this way. If you spent your whole life making sure everyone else was happy, doesn't it make sense that, at this stage, you deserve that happiness too? You've done your part, you've given, you've sacrificed, and you've been there for others. Now it's time to be there for yourself. And the people who truly love you, they want that for you too. They don't want to see you exhausted, stressed, or always putting yourself last. They want to see you happy, relaxed, and enjoying the things you love. So let go of that guilt. It doesn't serve you. You've earned this time to focus on yourself. And no one should make you feel otherwise, including yourself. Now, once you've freed yourself from guilt, it's time to embrace one of the most life-changing habits you can develop: choosing joy every single day. Joy isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create, something we choose, even in the smallest moments. Maybe it's waking up and feeling grateful for the morning light streaming through the window. Maybe it's sitting with a warm cup of tea and listening to the birds outside. Maybe it's calling an old friend and sharing a laugh about the good old days. Joy isn't always about the big things. It's about finding beauty in the little ones. And the more you practice noticing those moments, the more they multiply. But here's where most people go wrong. They wait for happiness to come to them. They think, once I move somewhere new, I'll be happy. Or, once my health gets better, I'll finally enjoy life. But happiness isn't something you wait for. It's something you choose, right here, right now, even if life isn't perfect, even if there are challenges, even if you're still figuring things out. Every morning ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today that will bring me joy? It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's playing your favorite music while you cook breakfast. Maybe it's taking a short walk and feeling the fresh air on your skin. Maybe it's treating yourself to something small just because you deserve it. The key is to make joy a habit, not an accident. Because when you prioritize joy, everything else in life feels lighter. And speaking of making things feel lighter, let's talk about one final essential way to put yourself first: letting go of what no longer serves you. At this stage of life, you don't need to carry unnecessary burdens, whether it's old regrets, toxic relationships, or the pressure to be someone you're not. It's time to let those things go. Maybe there's a friendship that no longer feels right. Maybe there's a habit that's weighing you down instead of lifting you up. Maybe there's an old story you've been telling yourself that you're too old to change, too late to start over, too set in your ways to try something new. None of that is true. You are never too old to create a life that feels good. You are never too late to start choosing yourself. So take a deep breath and give yourself permission to let go of anything that isn't adding to your happiness. Imagine how much lighter you'll feel when you stop carrying things that don't belong to you anymore. Now we've covered some incredibly important steps: letting go of guilt, choosing joy, and releasing what no longer serves you. But there's still one more piece to this journey, one final step that ties everything together. And trust me, it's one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. Now that you've let go of guilt, embraced joy, and freed yourself from what no longer serves you, there's one last piece to truly putting yourself first: surrounding yourself with people and experiences that lift you up. At this stage of life, the energy you allow into your world matters more than ever. You've spent years pouring love, time, and effort into others. Now it's time to be intentional about who and what you allow into your space. Think about the people in your life. Do they bring you joy, encouragement, and laughter? Or do they drain you, make you feel small, or remind you of worries you'd rather leave behind? This is your time to prioritize relationships that feel good. Maybe it's reconnecting with old friends who make you laugh until your stomach hurts. Maybe it's joining a group where you can meet like-minded people who share your interests. Or maybe it's simply spending more time with the people who truly see and appreciate you for who you are. If there are people in your life who constantly bring negativity, it's okay to take a step back. Protect your peace. You don't have to be available to everyone all the time. You don't have to entertain conversations that drain you. You are allowed to choose peace over obligation. And beyond people, let's talk about experiences. What makes you feel alive? What have you always wanted to try, but never had the time for? Maybe it's something as simple as taking a different route on your daily walk, just to see a new view. Maybe it's finally picking up that hobby you used to love, but set aside for years. Maybe it's something bold, like traveling somewhere new, taking a class, or learning something just for fun. Whatever it is, give yourself permission to enjoy it. You are not too old to try new things. You are not too late to start fresh. Life doesn't stop being exciting just because you've hit a certain age. If anything, this is when it gets really good. Because now, you don't have to do things just to please others. Now, you get to choose for yourself. You get to wake up every morning and decide, what would make me happy today? And that's the real secret to putting yourself first. It's not about being selfish. It's about honoring the life you've built, the lessons you've learned, and the time you have left. It's about realizing that happiness isn't something you have to earn. It's something you deserve, simply because you exist. So as we wrap up, let me leave you with this. The best gift you can give yourself is a life that feels good to you. Not to your neighbors, not to your family, not to society's expectations, but to you. So take that walk. Say no when you need to. Say yes to what excites you. Let go of what weighs you down Fill your days with joy, good people, and experiences that make your heart light up. You've spent years making sure others were happy. Now it's your turn.